Mere conservatism.
All right, as always, welcome to another edition of Mere Conservatism. I'm Cleve Walker, along with David Perry. And David, you seem a little bit long-faced today.
It's been a hard week because of what's going on in Afghanistan. I've really had a heavy heart over all that, and it's on so many levels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nuance to it. It's really, really sad what's going on over there. I'm outraged, but I'm also heartbroken.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. Part of me is, I got that anger, I'm angry, but it's counterbalanced by this, oh my goodness, this sadness that the nation has been led to this point.
Yeah.
David, we are the laughingstock of the world. Our enemies don't fear us, and our friends don't really respect us such as they are.
Yeah.
America, the once bastion of strength and stability in the world, has become a laughingstock under this Democrat puppet who's sitting in the Oval Office.
Yeah, and I'm not usually too worried about what other countries think of us. I really don't care that much. However, we just got our rear ends handed to us by the Taliban.
We better care what the enemy thinks about us.
Yes.
Because their actions are predicated on what they think about us.
We need to be feared by our enemies and loved by our friends. And the opposite is the truth right now.
It is.
Why would anybody want to be on the side of the United States right now?
Who can trust our word? Who can trust our stability? Who can trust our insight on foreign matters? I don't know anybody who could in their right mind.
It really hurts us. And I feel bad for all the service members who've been in Afghanistan over the last 20 years. And to see, they gave us 20 years of respite over there. They took the fight over there to keep the fight from being here because we got attacked here. Mm-hmm. And part of the calculus was we would rather risk lives overseas than risk them here in the United States. That was part of the calculus. And I feel like Joe Biden has made the judgment that he'd rather risk them here than risk them there. Now, I really believe that. Now, one of the things that the Biden administration is saying is that we have other ways to keep terrorists at bay. We have other ways now, which is I would believe that. I would tend to believe that if it wasn't the Biden administration saying it.
Yes.
Because one of my main concerns about leaving Afghanistan, and there's so many layers to this, but just thinking about our national interest, we had 20 years ago, we had a country that was a safe haven for terrorists. They were able to use that country as a base of operations to attack the West.
Right.
And they did it multiple times, culminating in 9/11. And I don't want a safe haven in Afghanistan again, which is what the Taliban, I believe, is going to enable.
Oh, no, wait a second now.
They're saying that won't happen, that they can keep that from happening. But
the Taliban has promised to behave, David. Now, you're being kind of hard on these guys, aren't you?
Well, I'm sad and I'm worried because I feel like this has given them an opportunity to again stage an attack.
Yeah,
possibly. I remember when ISIS was Obama left Iraq. ISIS gained strength, and we started seeing terrorist attacks all over Europe and in the United States.
They filled that vacuum that was left. That's for sure.
They do have the capability to keep terror cells from growing and setting up shop in Afghanistan, but I'm not confident, especially in this administration, that they could do that. Now, again, if Donald Trump was doing it, I would be a little bit more confident that they would take care of it and that they would do a good job of that. But, Cleve, I disagree with the policy, generally speaking, of leaving Afghanistan. We talked about this last week. I have what I think is really kind of an unpopular opinion on Afghanistan.
Well, there's some who agree with you,
which is that I think that our presence there was a good thing and that we probably should have stayed, indefinitely and supported the Afghan military with air power and be there for drone strikes and to hold the airport, to have a base of operations, a forward operating position there in Afghanistan, I think would have been a good thing. That's my opinion. But I really think that even if the Donald Trump policy had been allowed to go through and Donald Trump was managing this, I think it would have gone much better.
Totally. I mean, this what Biden did was a total political decision, and that is get out, and then began to go around the country trumpeting on my great.
We got out.
Yeah, we got out now. And because of that, it's the precipitous way he did it. I mean, the way it literally, even the Afghans weren't given proper warning or preparation time before he was already pulling out of there. And here's the thing that bothers me, David. This is so bad on so many levels. It shows, again, not just Biden, because this is really Schumer and Pelosi's at all in their policies, how naive you can be. Because you don't need to be a foreign policy expert to know you cannot trust a group like the Taliban to show any restraint once they get an opportunity to take back over. I mean, it's been 20 years since they've been able to do this. You think they're going to patiently wait when you announce your withdrawal, and we're just going to wait till they get out, and then we're going to enter into negotiations with the Afghan government? I mean, what kind of foreign policy idiocy would actually believe that notion? But they did. I think some of them actually thought that was going to happen.
It's a massive failure by Biden, and it's a big failure by a lot of his defense people. Now, a lot of them didn't want to do it.
Right. And that's my next point.
However, at the same time, a lot of them are out now saying things like, "We had no idea this would have happened. We had no indication that the government would fall this quickly." And by the way, they're saying that they don't know if they can get the United States citizens out. See, this is an example of something that I think that Trump wouldn't have happened under his watch. This would not have happened under Trump. We would not have U.S. citizens stranded in Afghanistan if Trump was president. There's no way.
And even their side must know that. But here's the thing, and you brought this out. I actually believe that Biden was actually told by many in the Defense Department and generals, if you do this, it's not going to work. Because when he was asked point blank, he was interviewed by Stephanopoulos about this. What his answer to the question was when he said, "Did anybody tell you in your military circles that this would happen?" And his answer was, "I don't recall anybody telling me." Okay. Now we know that's a lawyer's answer, don't we? Okay. You know what? That's what people say when you can't say no. They didn't tell me, or yes, they didn't tell me. You can say I didn't recall. But in his case, I know.
In his case, he probably doesn't recall. That's a problem.
Now, let's touch on that for a second. All right. Is this a sign then? And you think others now will finally take off the blinders and recognize this man is mentally diminished? And it's more so each and every day.
I don't think no.
They're having to shut down his schedule to like maybe a third, if that, of Donald Trump's presidential schedule.
I would just say, to answer your question, I don't think anybody has blinders on when it comes to that.
Okay.
I just know. So my answer is no, because I think we all know this already.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, maybe they know how bad it was. This has got to show them what level this comes to when you're making decisions like at the uppermost part of our nation's policy.
I don't think that anybody is surprised by Joe Biden's mental capacity at this point.
I think there's some people out there who, believe it or not, they are so anti-Trump that they think, no, Biden, he'll be okay. Just give him a little time, give him a little space. He'll be all right. They actually believe that. And I'm hoping that they have been jarred out of the fantasy that they've been living in, because this is bad.
Yes, I want to get back to what's happening in Afghanistan in just a second, but I wanted to ask you, Cleve, do you think that Joe Biden's presidency is effectively over? Because I had the thought that this happening might basically just neuter him completely.
Well, I'll tell you,
politically, do you think?
I do. I do. I think they were just, meaning his handlers in the Democrat Party, were just biding their time to see how far they could carry along, because he's a puppet. He's not making any of these decisions. They're just trying to use the facade of him being a nice guy. Anyway, they've been waiting, and this is it. And the reason I believe this is it is twofold. Number one, when you get the mainstream media like CNN finally landing salvos up beside your head. I mean, they've been giving this guy a blank check. They haven't been touching him. They're getting him on this, David.
Yeah.
When you see that happening, that's the same sign of when we knew that Cuomo was on his way out, was when the mainstream media began to get on him. They weren't talking about him before. So I think this is definitely the beginning of the end for Joe Biden in that office. His handlers, the Democrat Party, are now positioning him to get out of there.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
There are things that happen during a president's term that effectively end his ability to be an effective president.
Trump would have been impeached over this if he'd done this way.
Well, and I think...
And rightfully so.
And Trump's... I don't know if Trump had one. He only had one term. But if Trump had a situation like this, it would have been COVID. And before him, with Obama, maybe it was ISIS, the stuff with ISIS that, or the anti-cop stuff. The country really reacted against that, kind of neutered his presidency.
Possibly, yeah.
And with Bush, it was the Iraq War, when no weapons of mass destruction were found. That kind of ended his ability to be an effective president. If you look back on their presidency, that's kind of when they became a lame duck almost. And I think that this might be Joe Biden's moment, because this was handled so badly. There was a deal in place that President Trump made to get out of Afghanistan. It was conditional. It was based on conditions, and none of those conditions had been met. In fact, they were being violated. This is what Trump says. And if Trump had been president, he would have, I believe, he would have halted the withdrawal.
Yes, I agree with you.
The withdrawal wouldn't have been happening under these circumstances because of the behavior of the Taliban. Now, the Taliban saw Joe Biden was president. They kind of just decided to start doing what they wanted to do. And Joe Biden, instead of adjusting because conditions weren't being met, he decided to push through with the deal. I think that he actually thought that this was a winner politically for him.
Well, again, I'm trying to tell you, this shows you the naivete situation, because it wasn't just him, the people who allowed him to do that, his handlers, because they were naive enough to think that they could trust the Taliban to say, hey, we're playing nice with them, so certainly they're going to bend over backwards to try to accommodate. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? They really thought that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Joe Biden just thought that the only thing that mattered was getting out of Afghanistan, and whatever happened wouldn't matter because leaving Afghanistan would be such a win. I think that he thought that.
We're the only ones. I disagree with you on that. Only because. Again, you got to understand, just like the libertarians, the progressive mindset, they have a very naive understanding of human nature. They actually believe, I've heard them say this, if we leave them alone and let them do their thing, they're not going to bother us.
Yeah.
And
you're probably right.
That type of thinking, making foreign policy on that type of thinking, is inviting.
Well, because the UN is even now saying that, hey, if the Taliban messes up and violates human rights, we're going to write a letter. We're gonna make a resolution.
Oh, did you see the letter from our UN?
It's
lady?
So stupid.
It was a stern letter, though.
I did.
Very stern.
Very stern, and as if these people care about that.
Again, that's
maddening.
Yeah.
It's maddening.
Yeah.
What is happening? I can't believe that it's reality, and the decline that we're seeing. I really hope. I don't know. I don't even know what to hope. I feel so bad for the people of Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
The Christians who are there, the women and the girls who are there, the images of women throwing their children over fences and things like that, trying to save them from the Taliban, it's just heartbreaking.
How about the images of some even falling from the plane, the transport plane, after it had taken off on the tarmac? They were literally holding on to the wheel struts of the plane, David.
You know what my mind immediately went back to, Cleve? The people jumping out of the towers.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. In 9/11.
I think that's the only other time that I personally have seen video of a person falling from a height like that. Of course, I think the plane is higher than the tower, but at the time that the person fell. But you get what I'm saying. My mind was immediately taken back to that image.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because that's what kind of started this whole Afghanistan thing. And here we are, the bookend is people falling off of the plane trying to escape Afghanistan. And look, a lot of people think that we shouldn't be there. I think that again, I have a pretty unpopular opinion when it comes to that, because I think we should be there. But you can't possibly think that this is right.
Right.
I mean, what is happening, and being able to see the Taliban take over that country and what they're going to subject the people there to is so it's horrifying.
Especially from the party in power that always touts its standing for women and their rights and the standing for children, especially with them posturing themselves all this time. And they literally have turned over these women and children to the worst possible people that you could turn them over to.
And meanwhile, the greatest threat to America is white supremacy.
Yeah, God. Don't get me started.
And so they want to paint you and I, Cleve.
We're the threat.
And you've even heard some of commentators say that we're just like the Taliban.
That's right.
We're right here in our country. And I think that what they're getting at when they say that is we got to eliminate the Taliban from our country. Let's not worry about Afghanistan. We got to get rid of conservatives is what they're saying in our country, because they're just like the Taliban. They are... It's so perverted, Cleve.
Yeah, I
understand. January 6th was an insurrection, and they tried to topple the government, and our capital fell. By the way, I was a big professional wrestling fan when I was younger.
So was I.
And Kevin Nash, Diesel.
Yeah.
Kevin, I happened to see Kevin Nash on Facebook. Apparently, he's a Democrat, a centrist Democrat, and he said something about our capital falling in January. And I was like, our capital fell? I tweeted him. I was like, too many knocks to the head, Kevin? And by the way, I'm a big fan. I did say that.
I don't think you would say that to his face, but go ahead.
I might. Maybe if there was one of those gorilla cages in between us. Anyway, the point is, that's crazy, right? It's crazy. They're focused on the wrong enemy.
Yeah.
And I don't know where in their brain they've decided this is a good idea to basically declare war on conservatives. Anybody who voted for Trump are insurrectionists is how they have equated this.
Right.
But in Afghanistan, it's okay that the Taliban's going to take over.
A genuine insurrection there is it's a beautiful thing, apparently, in their mind.
It's weird. It's crazy.
And the reason all this is important, again, this is why I say we've got to get our election reform laws passed. Okay, now what does this have to do with what we're talking about? The only way the Democrats get reelected, after this especially, is if there's voter chicanery going on. If the people are actually allowed to vote legitimately in this country, we wipe them out of the House. We retake the Senate. I'm just telling you, the only way, and they know that. This is why, David, I got to tell you, I'm insecure about what's going to happen in the next election, because I know that the way they think now, they will do anything to prevent losing power at this point.
They have to.
So therefore, they're going to try to find a way to get their HR 1 or whatever the name of the bill was to take over the elections. Because, David, it's the only way they stay in power after Afghanistan. It's the only way they do it. They can't hide the cameras. They've got their people on the ground there. When I saw CNN and some others had reporters on the ground there, I was telling my wife, I said, I think Biden's time is short.
You're seeing how bad it really is. There's a CNN reporter in particular, and I can't remember her name.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of it either.
But you've seen her a lot lately because she's been there and doing really good reporting. And the last thing I heard from her was she decided that she was going to take the walk or the trip from Kabul to the airport. That people that are trying to get out of the country have to go to get to the airport so that they can leave. And she was confronted by the Taliban and was accosted, and kind of showing what those people are having to go through to try to get out, and that it's basically impossible. I mean, the Taliban has made it impossible for people to get through and to leave. That is eye-opening. The Defense Department now saying that they don't know that they can get everybody out, that they don't have the capability to get everybody out of there. I cannot even fathom that is a situation. And can you imagine being in Afghanistan right now as an American or as somebody who helped America?
Let me ask you, make 2 points. First of all, can you imagine if Trump were in office right now and had been told that the Taliban was not allowing Americans there to be taken out of that city and out of the airport? I think it'd be a slightly different reaction.
They'd be a stain on the pavement right
I'm
now.
just telling you that's true. But the second thing is this: that gal you're talking about, she referred to Biden's answer to about whether or not this was a real crisis or a real debacle, and she said she quoted Biden as saying that basically he said it was not a failure. Is what he said. Okay. And this gal in her report said, and after seeing all this, one has to ask, if this is not a failure, then what in the world is a failure? She said that. I said, again to Barbara, I said, oh, it's over now.
She's fired.
No, she's not fired. They're going to fire. She wouldn't be allowed to say that.
Yeah, it's bad.
They have been given the go-ahead to final report on Biden on this because they're
know
hitting
that them hard. They're hitting them hard to their credit. Although I'm not going to give them too much credit because they generally are terrible.
Yeah. It's only because they're planning to get him out of there. That they're doing.
But I just know. I think most Americans, Cleve, when they see what's happening, are horrified by what's happening and saddened. Even if they think that we should be out of there, I think that most people are. A lot of people don't want to be in Afghanistan, but you know what they don't want even more? To get their butts kicked by the Taliban, the people who harbored the terrorists that did 9/11.
Right.
Because 9/11, for a lot of us, is an absolutely defining moment in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I was a junior in high school, and so I'm of the generation of that. That is one of those things that completely changed my life because it changed the world. This new generation, they have COVID. Okay, so that's the thing that's changed their life. But you see what I'm saying? There are these events in history that change everything.
They're sea changes.
And 9/11 was one of those things. And now we're seeing the same people that made that possible and who were buddies with the guys who did it take power in Afghanistan and just reestablish themselves. And it's very sad. Yeah.
And on another note, again, folks who have heard this broadcast before, Mere Conservatism, they already know that our conservatism is based upon our faith, our Christian faith. And so we've got a whole bunch of brothers and sisters in the faith over there who, unless the Lord does something that only God can do, the intention of the Taliban is to wipe them out, David. Wipe them out. The church there is going to be under... Well, I can't imagine what they're going to be under, okay? I feel like we're experiencing a little bit of oppression over here. I cannot imagine what it's going to be like looking face to face with an enemy who has declared that you don't have the right to exist. And so I'm praying for the Afghan church each and every day. They're going to face a horrible situation.
I saw this meme, and it struck a chord with me. Somebody wrote this out. It's not an image or anything. It's just words. But it says, the church in Afghanistan, we will gather and likely die. The church in America, we will gather. And then in parentheses, unless there's a cookout, party, ball game, it's a nice day, it's raining, or I'm tired.
What a great point.
And it shows the contrast between our comfortable existence in the United States of America, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to God for. I think that God has given us that to steward properly and to make sure that we support our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world where it isn't so easy. I think we ought to be doing that. But it's also convicting.
Yeah.
Because their faith and their belief in God, in their God and in their Savior, they are in mortal danger.
Yes, they are
at this moment.
And it's, to me, I hate to say it, but it's almost like a betrayal on our part, because America had stood as a beacon of liberty for them to achieve a status in their society that they would not otherwise have achieved, and now we turn our back on them.
And again, I know that we can't be the world's police.
No.
And I know that we can't. Nation building is stupid. That's different than being the world's police, by the way. Those are two different things. But I cannot accept that what we're doing in Afghanistan is right. I can't accept. I can't handle that could be the right thing to do, is to leave. And these are people, a lot of these people who are victims of the Taliban have lived under American occupation, quote unquote, their entire lives.
Right.
They've been protected, and they've gotten used to a, somewhat Western way of life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that may not
certainly
be completely
a greater
accurate to say,
freedom
but
than the average
right.
Islamic person
And now
would have.
that's going to be completely stripped away, and these people are going to be victims. They're going to become slaves. They're going to be murdered. They're going to be tortured, and I can't allow myself to think that is okay, because it's not our problem. It's not in America's interest to be there. I can't handle that. It's very sad, and we need to definitely pray for the Christians over there and everybody over there. And we also need to pray for the people who are coming here. I do think that there will be a lot of refugees, and there should be a lot of refugees, and I pray that a lot of them will come to know Christ if they don't already. Hopefully, the church in America will, they'll take the gospel to their Samaria and Judea as well as the ends of the world. But they're coming here. A lot of them are coming here, and we need to reach them. Joe Biden was elected mostly because he cares so much about us.
Yeah.
The word empathy was thrown around a lot when he was running and when he first got elected, because he cares so much. Does this seem like a guy who really cares about us? It doesn't seem like it.
That's a big no. And again, I hold the Democrat Party responsible for foisting this guy and this mess on us. He is the puppet of the Democrat Party. Let me understand. I'm not removing all responsibility from Biden, but he is merely a puppet doing exactly what he is told to do. And this might be the thing that backfires and gets him out of there, and hopefully gets us a chance to have one more opportunity to reclaim the helm of this nation and steer America back to the destiny and greatness I believe that God had for her. Well, David, they can hear it, and this is kind of, I gotta admit, this is kind of a heavy show today, but they can hear it again if they want to hear heaviness. So
check it out on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Facebook.
And we'd love to get comments also on our Facebook page of Mere Conservatism. For David Perry, and I'm Cleve Walker. Chin up. It's not done yet, but we got a battle ahead of us.